Hello. Seems I pressed record, like the camera shifted. Like, what? Okay. Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is mixtressrae. You're watching Mixtress video. So, I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing here. This is the end of a spell candle that I lit for a client. You know who you are. You'll get to see the end of your spell candle if you watch this video. So I want to talk. I don't have notes this time. So I don't know. It might be pretty unorganized. And I'm lighting this other candle basically just so another candle will be burning once this one goes out, because I feel like this one's going to go out at some point during this conversation. Okay. I don't know. I have a tarot deck here. I guess that's the visual. How are you guys? I'm going to shuffle it before I flip through it. Why? I don't know. Because I am. That makes sense, right? I'm going to shuffle right to left because that will feel very weird to me. So let's do it just for funsies. Are you going to be able to see it? Yeah. Okay. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to title this video. It might be like no buy something or other. I'm doing an internet no buy for 3 blood moons. This is what I want to do. We're doing a flip through with 3 cards at a time. Why? Because why not? So if you need to interpret any of these as readings, go for it. So I feel like this trajectory makes sense, actually. Like, this is how I have felt the last 10 years or so online. Being online makes me feel anxious and hypervigilant and not good overall. So I'm taking some things into my own hands, and it's creating actual opportunities for me. Past, 5 of Pentacles, present, Sun, future, Hierophant. Yes, I am regaining my spirituality. So what I've decided to do is, I think I already said it, but I'll just say it again if I didn't. An internet no-buy for 3 blood moons, 3 menstrual cycles. I'm using that as a unit of measurement, a unit of time. Not necessarily like, you know, I didn't start it at a particular point in my cycle for any witchy reasons. Like, I'm not usually that good at foresight and planning. So that's not what I did. But, so I'm ending my first blood moon right now. I've been doing it already. And it's been good. Like, essentially what I'm trying to find ways to be more in the real world and less online. I'm trying to rebalance the scales because my life has become chronically online. And I've noticed some things in this process. For example, shopping. I mean, like many people that grew up in the 80s and 90s, like, we grew up in some pretty capitalist times, right? Like, my grandparents they had their own business and they were doing, I mean, we were never rich, but they were doing well whenever I was really young. And so, like, the first, like, 10 years of my life, I was spoiled incredibly. And then it was like we no longer really had money, but we pretended we did for a while. Anyway, point is, I have both the experience of being very spoiled and of feeling deprived. And those two things are definitely related. You know, I felt deprived when I no longer got to have all of the things that I wanted, because I wasn't used to not having everything that I wanted, you know? In those developmental years of growing up in the 80s and my grandparents having a successful business, and, you know, I was spoiled. I was. And some of y'all you can see that in me still. Anyway, that has nothing to do with, I mean, I don't know, that has something to do with something, obviously, but just my relationship to capitalism, I guess, is, you know, it's complicated. All of our relationships to consumerism and capitalism is complicated, and, like, I think it's a very interesting subject. Obviously, if you're not here for that, you're probably not here at all. But if you're here for it, hi. Let's talk about, it's time for your Aunt Mixtress to bitch about capitalism again. Here we go. So, I had this experience this week of, it was just like an old school, it felt nostalgic. And I realized this is how I'm meant to shop. So the experience was this. My mom needed to go to the mall, and she doesn't like going to the mall. And I fucking love the mall. I do. I don't usually buy things. I just like to walk around and see all the stuff and like pick up all the pretty things and touch all the fun textures, especially like clothing, you know. I fucking hate shopping for clothing in particular. I hate it. So I usually don't do it. I usually am wearing the same fucking clothes until they fall apart. And that's how I operate, but anyway. My mom needed to go to the mall for something, so I went with her. And, cause she wanted a bodyguard. And we were in a, like, makeup/beauty, whatever, store. Insert name of mall beauty store here. It's probably that one. Or the other one. The cheaper one. Not that one. And they had perfumes. And it was just like, you know, celebrity fragrances, that kind of thing. And I started like spraying them on those little cards, you know. This was last Thursday or Friday? I think it was Friday. And so I went home with like 3 different little, no, 4, doesn't matter. 4 little like strips with like the different perfumes sprayed on them. And over the course of Friday and Saturday, I kept going back to them and sniffing them. And Michael sniffed them. He had his favorites. It turned out like there was one scent in particular that even like 2 days later, it had an interesting journey and it smelled pretty good. It was intriguing. I liked it. So I went back on Sunday. Went back on Sunday and I sprayed it on. Like, this isn't really an entertaining story or anything. I'm saying it like, this is just how I talk, guys. I'm sorry. So I sprayed it on my skin on Sunday, and Michael and I walked around the mall, and I let the fragrance sort of develop on my skin, because perfumes have top notes, heart notes, and base notes. Is that how it goes? Well, essentially, it's top, middle, bottom, right? I don't know. Yeah. So the heart notes, I think. Heart notes? I don't know. Whatever it is that once it dries down, it settles into its final form, right? But a good fragrance will kind of have a journey that it goes on. So you'll have your top notes, that's usually like citrus and stuff. Or if there is citrus, that's where it is. It's in the top notes usually. Like, you're not usually going to smell citrus throughout a perfume. I mean, sometimes. But anyway, so I sprayed it, actually trying it on my skin, because there's a difference. Anyone that likes perfume, you know. There's a difference between it being sprayed on a little piece of paper and it being sprayed on your skin. And so we walked around the mall, and I kept sniffing my arm, kept sniffing. Michael was sniffing. He also sprayed it on himself, and we decided pretty quickly that we didn't like it for him. And yeah, so essentially it doesn't matter. You know, all the details don't really matter. What mattered was what I was doing here. What I was doing here was experiencing something that I might want to purchase. I was experiencing it. I was trying before I buy, which is everything I'm doing right now because I'm not shopping online right now. Only exception is I did buy something online yesterday with a gift card balance that I had for something that I knew I wanted that I had already tried in person. And I think that's the way for me. So I'm sharing this with you in case you might feel similarly. I realized, okay, I'm going to make a comparison before I tell you what I really want to say here. I can't remember when this was. I think it was about 5 years ago. Between 4 and 6 years ago. I deleted my Facebook account forever. Haven't gone back. Likely never will. And the thing that was like the reason that I ultimately decided to do it, the biggest reason that I decided to do it, because I had thought about it for a long time before I actually did it, was I started paying attention to how I felt in my body when I was using it. And I realized, you know, as I'm scrolling through Facebook, what I was feeling was anxiety. I was feeling shortness of breath. I was kind of curling into myself. I was feeling anxious. And, you know, we can pick apart the reasons why social media might make a person feel that way, whatever. But if you boil it down to this is how I'm feeling in my body when I do this thing, it makes it very simple. It's time to stop doing that thing. Done. So I realized that there is a comparison between that moment that I decided to quit Facebook and what I'm feeling right now about shopping online and my relationship to shopping addiction, because I've always known that my shopping addictions are related to shopping online. It's never been a problem for me to shop in person. I can go like spend a Saturday afternoon when I have nothing else to do walking around the mall and not spend a single penny. Because I like to play with things. I like to pick things up and hold them in my hand. I like to try before I buy. Because for me, buying things online results in a lot of missteps, a lot of purchase regrets, because you think you're doing your due diligence, right? Like, say you see a tarot deck online that you think you might like, and you look up the flip throughs. You think that you have all of the information, but I don't know about you, but it's different when you have it in your hands. I need the whole sensory experience of an object before I know if I like it. I mean, it's obvious with perfume, which is one of my other obsessions. Like, you can't smell it before you can't smell it before you buy it if you're buying it online. If you have no other option, you know, if it's not the type of thing you can try in person. If you have to blind buy a perfume, then you don't know. You're taking a chance. And sometimes it's worth it and sometimes it isn't. But you don't know. You can't know. seeing a picture of a thing online is not a full sensory experience, and I've realized that I need the full sensory experience to make the right purchase decisions for myself in the way that I operate. And yes, I think too hard about it, but part of me thinking too hard about it is by necessity. Like, it's hard out there. Some of y'all have been feeling it with me. You know, like, many of my utility bills have more than doubled in the last year. And all of them have gone up at least a little bit. And every grocery store, you know, receipt is close to 2 times, not double necessarily, but it's like a third more, perhaps, you know. If you walk in for 3 to 5 things that you just need today, like milk and eggs and whatever, before you could reasonably assume, or me personally could reasonably assume that it would be about $30. And now you can reasonably assume 50 for that type of moment, you know, just as an example. The try before I buy lifestyle is the one that I can sustain. And if I'm going to have that kind of lifestyle, then I'm going to be more limited in what I can have. But for me personally, living in a small town, the things that I can access in person are more likely to be affordable for me anyway. Because shopping online, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I know I'm not alone. My tastes have been skewed by shopping online. It's like I got into this mentality in the last 10 or 15 years of like, you know, I'm buying a lot more niche shit, indie shit, high-priced, artisanal, and there's nothing wrong with that, obviously. Like, you want to support people that are trying to make a fucking living out there. You do. But some of us can't afford that lifestyle. Like, maybe we can afford to buy, like, an indie, expensive thing every once in a while. Of course. If we're smart about our money. I'm never smart with my fucking money. But I got into that mindset of like, more expensive equals better. But to any of y'all out there that are really feeling the pinch right now, I can tell you that is not always the case. And even if it is, if it's not worth it, it's not worth it. You know, it's never worth, like, spending your grocery money on a tarot deck. We all know this, right? We know this intellectually, but those of us that have shopping addiction issues, it's a challenge. You're not necessarily always going to choose groceries over tarot. But anyway, point is, this last weekend, I had the experience of trying something in a real sustainable way for me. Was trying on a perfume. It's such a stupid little story, but it's like, so here's the contrast. So that situation that I just described, of like trying on a perfume to see if I like it, like, big deal, right? But contrast that to the way that I normally shop and the way that I think people are shopping more and more, and that's only going to continue to be the case more and more often. Like, most shopping is becoming online, right? And there's definite advantages to that. Definitely. But from now on, I really want to make an effort to shop in person as much as possible, because I hardly ever regret buying things in person, because I can actually experience them. And I realized, so contrast that situation of trying on a perfume before deciding, and I ultimately decided I didn't want it. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I already have many perfumes that I love. There's no reason for me to get one that I just think is okay. There's no reason for that. So I didn't buy it. So, I saved myself some money, because contrast that to the way that I normally experience shopping for a thing like this. Say I was shopping for the exact same perfume, except that I couldn't spray it on myself before buying it. Say I was only able to interact with that perfume online. I would be, looking it up on Fragrantica, reading reviews, looking up YouTube reviews on this particular perfume. And I would be spending so much more time completely in my head trying to decide, trying to find a rationalization for buying this thing. And ultimately, that experience for me, if I'm going back to that moment of when I decided Facebook wasn't for me and I quit forever, what is my body doing right now? If I'm shopping for something online and I'm trying to do my due diligence of researching that thing, even in the case of tarot decks, which should be easy, it should be an easy decision. You can see every single image if you look up a flip through. What more do you need? And someone's discussing the cardstock, and you have experience with the different types of cardstock, so you should be able to tell, but you can't always tell. For me anyway, it's always different to hold something in your hands than it is to see it online. There's a disconnect because I need the entire sensory experience of a thing. That's just how I am. And that doesn't mean I'm never going to buy something online ever again, but it means that for my sanity, I need to try to avoid buying things online as much as possible. Because the experience in my body of shopping for something online, when I can't experience it in person, is one of anxiety and desperation. I want so badly to know how I feel about it, and I personally won't know how I feel about it until I'm holding it in my hands, like I said. I want so badly to know if I feel the way that other people say they feel about it, that I buy it so I can have that experience. And I will go against my better judgment in many cases because I want to experience it so badly. And experiencing a thing, for me, is not the same as wanting to own the thing, is not the same as wanting... some tarot decks come into your life for a minute and then they're gone. Like, for example, this one. This was a gift from a friend who said that she really loved using it for a couple of months, and then she realized it wasn't for her anymore. So she has very positive memories of using this deck, but she was done with it. And I know a lot of people out there will have an experience like that, but they won't admit to themselves when they're done with something. And I'm sure that's a difficult thing to confront in yourself. And some people won't. Some people will yell at me in the comments because they don't want to confront their feelings of discomfort with their shopping habits or whatever, And we don't know. Like, sometimes I can be watching someone's videos and I can just be really jealous of them, all the beautiful things that they have. And I can just be really jealous of them and want to have all of those beautiful things. But I don't know. They could be in incredible debt because of those beautiful things that they have. In my mind, they just have all kinds of disposable income and they can buy whatever they want. And in some cases, I'm sure that is the case. But we don't know. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. All we see is this row of cups. It's a limited view. We don't know what is outside the shot. We don't know what else the person is dealing with. If they're fighting with their partner behind the scenes because one person is spending all of the couple's money on tarot decks or whatever. We don't know. And of course, you're ready to confront that when you're ready to confront it. It's not my business to, I'm not trying to call anyone out. But I am here to confront myself and my own problems with shopping addiction, and to try to share how that feels with you guys. And how it feels to shop for things online that I don't ultimately love, because if I'm really honest, it's close to about 4 out of every 5 decks, most likely, that I buy, I end up letting go of eventually. And probably 2 or 3 out of 5 I get rid of immediately. And then that last 4th out of 5 I get rid of within a year, you know? Children screaming outside. And maybe, you know, your odds aren't like that. Maybe you're not as fucking picky as me. Or maybe the entire sensory experience is not as important to you, so you can make, if you have the ability to make a really sure decision about what you want by just seeing it online, that's so cool. I'm very happy for you. But that is not the way that I experience online shopping. I experience online shopping, so here's the thing that I keep trying to fucking say. Let me try to fucking say it now. When I hit purchase when I'm shopping online, most of the time, I'm feeling very desperate in that moment. Because most likely, I have spent hours or days or even weeks thinking about buying that particular thing. And I have the fear of missing out. Because I want to experience it. I've probably watched a ton of reviews, a ton of flip-throughs. Likely, I have spent a lot of time thinking about it. And the purchase, when I finally click purchase, it's an act of desperation because I'm sick of thinking about it. And I would not be having that experience if I were buying something in person. I just wouldn't. And maybe I know it's different for other people. Your experience may not look anything like mine, but that's what mine is like. When I hit purchase online, it is usually out of desperation. Because I'm afraid I'll never get the chance to get it again, because there's some kind of sale with a countdown clock next to it, because there's like all of those things are put in place to make us buy quicker. And part of it is overstimulus. A big part of it is overstimulus for me, but it's overstimulus in only one area. It's all in the mind. Because in person, I can pick a thing up. You know, like let's say I was thinking about, this is a bad example because this is a website that they don't have a storefront. You have to blind buy. But like let's say I did find this perfume right here in a store. You know, you would be picking it up. You go, oh, cool, little apothecary bottle. Like I'm feeling the glass. It's got this pretty little label. I unscrew it. I know what this feels like. For me, the whole process is part of it. Which is why we love unboxings, right? Because we want to be as close to the actual experience of using that product or whatever it is. We want to be as close to that experience as we can be. But it's not enough for me. Anyway, so I'm unscrewing the lid. And I'm smelling it, you know? Obviously, like, you're not going to get this experience online. Obviously. Like, I'm making very basic statements here. I realize that. What is my fucking point? My point is only just to share my experience and some of the thoughts that I've been having. And hopefully you guys can resonate, or maybe you have some tips for right now, like, I mean, there's all kinds of things that I could try, right? Because I'm trying to be less online, you know, there's all different kinds of things that I could try. Like, I could get one of those phones that's kind of dumb, you know? I've deleted all the shopping apps from my phone. I've, you know, I've tried many different things. I'm trying really hard to not stop shopping altogether, but I'm trying really hard to curb my specific addictions. I'm doing my best. And the thing that makes it kind of harder for me in my very specific circumstances of being a tarot YouTuber is that when we bring up how we feel about consumerism and our spiritual practice and how it relates or doesn't relate, and capitalism and our feelings about all of this stuff, people get pretty upset. And I know I've talked about that a lot lately. People get very upset. And I think a lot of people really are getting upset because they do see themselves reflected in our experiences when we talk about this shit. But other people might be getting upset because they don't understand what we're saying at all. And it's not like we're telling other people to stop talking about things that they love. Absolutely not. Anyway, I've also noticed something that has been happening for me, and other friends I've been talking to have felt similarly. That, you know, those of us that do have problems, those of us that have problems with buying things and buying too many things, and it's just a lot of manipulation of objects in the physical universe, you know what I mean? It's like, if you end up with something that you don't ultimately want, you have to figure out what to fucking do with it. Which I hate. And I always get pissed at myself whenever I receive something in the mail that I've thought a lot about, that I've tried to do all my research on before buying it, and it still doesn't work for me. I feel really bad. Like, why can't I fucking figure this shit out? It seems so simple, right? And then, you know, you're frustrated and you want to talk about it, and then people are cruel to you for trying to talk about it. It sucks. It sucks. But all I can do is keep trying to talk about it, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to talk about my life and my experiences. And another thing that I've been noticing is that the more time I spend trying to avoid things that might trigger me to buy shit all the time. And it's not like I'm never going to buy another tarot deck, because I will. I will. But I've been actively trying to avoid all that shit, right? And a result of that is that quieting everyone else's voices is reminding me of my own. I can hear my own voice better now. And I'm able to make better decisions for myself because of that. And that's been an essential part of this process too. So if you're out there feeling uncomfortable with your own shopping habits, and that's why you came to this video, I would recommend that. I would recommend taking a break as much as you can from content that makes you want to buy things. You know, unsubscribe from whoever you need to unsubscribe to, even if that's me. Like, do what's right for you. I had to unsubscribe from someone at some point that, like, her and I had very similar tastes in things. But I had to unsubscribe to her simply because, and 9 times out of 10 when I'd buy something that, like, she had, that she was talking about on her channel, I would really like that thing. So she was inspiring me to make purchases that I ultimately enjoyed. So that's not a bad thing, except that it is a bad thing when you don't have the money to do it, you know? So I would definitely, all that is just to say, I would definitely recommend, like, taking a breather from YouTube, from, you know, anything that makes you want to buy things. And it's okay. People are going to make you feel bad about it, but people are going to want to make you feel bad about it. But if they're really your friends, they're going to understand. You know? And, okay, so the thing I keep trying to say, after spending, like, several months on purpose avoiding YouTube as much as possible, I'm realizing that novelty is not as important to me anymore. And I hope that this continues, because I've actually been saving a little bit of money because of this. Like, I'm realizing that I like the things that I have. I am decluttering a little bit too. That is happening. But for the most part, I like the things that I have, and I don't really want new things. I thought I wanted new things because I was constantly seeing new things all the time. And I was just in this sort of mindless habit of, like, buying new things all the time. All the time, all the time, all the time. So I always felt completely broke, because I was. And I always felt like empty. I always felt like I needed something, because I was constantly on the search for another thing, another thing, another thing. And now that I have sort of slowed down, not only, like, I've just been, in as many ways as I can, changing my habits in this life from being online to not online. Whether that means hanging out outside or whatever. Like, just trying as much as possible to be less online. And it has been incredibly helpful to me in just that one very specific area, you know, because most of online spaces have become commercials, whether we want them to be or not. Like, we're making I feel like YouTube is like 80% infomercials at this point. And maybe that's because over the course of the last like 10 or 15 years that I've been watching YouTube almost every day, I have trained the algorithm to only show me those types of things, because I very much perpetuated that cycle. So it feels to me like 80% of YouTube is an infomercial, but maybe that's not the case. Anyway, doesn't matter. The point is, I don't know if I have one. I never do. But it's a struggle, you know, trying to figure out, like, what works for you in this life and what doesn't. And I know a lot of y'all are bored with me talking about this kind of thing, but this is what I'm dealing with right now. I'm trying to get a handle on how to be an adult just in general, you know? And one of those things, a thing that we all have to contend with in this culture of, I mean, it's a very consumerist culture. I mean, yeah, that's a cliche thing to say, but it's true. We are constantly being inundated with ads and, like, products shoved in our faces, like, this is the new thing that you need. You need this, you need this, you need this, buy this, all the time. Like, I don't even know how many thousands of ads one human being sees in a day. It's a lot. And I'm to the point where, like, when I really stop and look around and I'm really truthful with my situation in life, I have everything I need. Like, I don't need anything else. And I'm sick of the culture around me telling me that I need more things. And I'm not specifically saying that, like, you know, people showing off things that they like are telling me that I need to have those things. I'm just saying, like, the culture at large, advertisements, you know. I had a thought today. It was like, I feel like criticism of things is more prevalent than experiencing the things these days. I feel like people in general spend more time talking about the things that they love or the things that they've done or the things that they've bought or whatever than actually enjoying those things. You know, like this thought came up. I was watching like a video of someone critiquing an award show, and they kept showing like clips from the award show, and I kept thinking, I just want to watch this thing. But instead I'm watching someone critique this thing. And it's like layers of it's like you're being removed from the thing further and further and further. That's what online life feels that way to me right now. It's like, I just want to hold the deck in my hands, though. You know that? Do you remember in, I think it was 40-Year-Old Virgin, Jonah Hill's character in that movie, and he was just like an unnamed, like random character, I think, but he was in the movie for like a second. His entire scene was like, there was this store that was showing things that were listed online. You could not buy them in person. This was just a storefront for you to experience the thing that you could bid on eBay. And so he had like this pair of shoes that he wanted. And he like went up to the counter and the chick was trying to explain to him the concept of the store. Like, this is just a place where you get to like see the items, but you have to bid on them online. And he's like, I wanna buy this. Can I buy this so that I can take it home? And she just kept trying to explain the concept to him, and he didn't get it because it seemed so fucking absurd. That's how life online feels to me. It's like, I want to experience the thing. So, all of that is just to say, is to say nothing. Experience the things in person whenever you can, if you feel similarly to me. Like, I am actually just, me doing this no buy for 3 blood moons is my way of forcing myself to go out into the world and experience things. And it has been so immediately rewarding. It is exactly what I need. So perhaps that can be useful for someone else. That's all I got. I don't know. I don't even know if this was anything. If I post it, if I don't post it, who knows? Let's fuck around and find out. Bye.